Okay, so continuing the deep dive and look at the England and Wales censuses on Ancestry. Let's now have a look at the 1881 census for my 3 times great grandmother Agnes Blackmore Fry. Now, interestingly, if I look in the sources, I can see all the censuses I've got. I haven't got the 1881. Okay, so let's see where that is. Right, so if I come over to hints, it's probably going to be in here, but if not, we'll just have to search for it. So we've got 1851 and there, 1881, there it is. So I can click here or I can click review. Let's go review. And in this case, we just see it pop out on the side. You can get a comparison view, but I don't like that so much. I know this is her. Okay, that's absolutely fine. What I'll do then, I'll click in here, which I think is the same as clicking the title. Okay, fine. All matches, what I'd expect. And let's have a look into it. Let's check the census viewer itself. Okay, now it's zoomed in handily. It's zoomed in a little bit. Now instantly I was looking at this house, St James's Place, Norfolk Villa. Now previously we've seen it called Norfolk House. So that is interesting. And then we've got Derwent Villa next door. But you can see I was looking at the barns, I was seeing them here. But it's actually down here, St James's Villa. So you've got Norfolk Villa and St James's Villa. And if we look at these, and you see not got house numbers on here, we've probably got number 3. Because in the I think it was 1911 census, Norfolk House, as was then, was number 1 St James's Place. So that would tally with this. Now I can't make that assumption entirely, but it certainly looks likely that's the case. And this is a William Fry Barnes. Now, I think I've heard that name mentioned. I think I've been in touch with one of their descendants as well. And so 2 doors down, Agnes Blackmore Barnes, who was my 3 times great grandmother we started off with. She's the head of the household, and W, in this case, widowed. We've seen wid, you've seen widow in full as well, and we've got her age over here. Now, I can have a look at the column. You can figure it out pretty much as we follow. Condition as to marriage, such an interesting word. Okay, or phrase. And curiously, it says she's retired grocer's wife. Now, I knew that. Her husband was a grocer. He also was a chandler. In the later censuses, 91 and so on, didn't actually say anything about being retired. So that is interesting to see it there. I thought retirement then, perhaps they termed it as more of a modern phrase, but retired is there. So, and we can see she was born in Padstow, Cornwall, which is a little ways away from Ilfracombe in Devon, but not that far. And her daughter is living there, 18, homekeeper, domestic. And there's someone else who is also, nope, it's just the 2 of them in the one. Okay, I was looking at that. Now you can see you've got the ditto mark here. So this is a bit curious, isn't it? You've got St James's Villa and a ditto. Seems to be something a bit wrong there. So we've got to be careful with these on the census because errors do happen. But how you could have 2 heads in the same household, I don't know. Let's just click on that just to be sure. St James's Villa, St James Place. And it's got St James Villa, St James Place. 2 heads in the same household? Really not sure. And I'm not seeing any familiar names. And yeah, none of that really seems to follow. So perhaps there's a mistake there. We've got to be careful with the census as well. And if I look at the last column, you can see it lists any infirmity and there's none there. Now, as I say, if you have a look again, Ancestry with the film strip, I'm on page 12. I would take it. Remember that. If I go to page 1, let's see what we've got about the area that this covers, the district. You see the whole of St James's Place, numbers 1 to 15, but it doesn't really say much more. These are always a nice little thing to look at. So I think if I remember now, I was on page 12. So again, you can type the numbers to jump back and forth. And at this point, I would save the document as a file on my computer by pressing, I always think it's that one down there. Yeah, it is this one. I would save this file, make sure I've got access to it after my subscription ends if I want to pause, just by pressing download and giving it a proper name. Another thing I'm just remembering that's interesting, and it's helpful to go through the censuses in order for one person. In this case, I'm working backwards, but in the 1891 census and on, Agnes is actually living with her daughter and her then husband, or Agnes's son-in-law, and they're in the same place. well, actually they're in Norfolk Villa, but that looks like it might be in the family as well. So you can start to see that there is that connection. And I've just noticed that there was a local Methodist preacher. They were very ardent Methodists, Wesleyan Methodists, and they apparently Agnes helped to get fundraising and essentially build the Methodist chapel in Ilfracombe, Devon. So that is curious. But in terms of the census information, I think we've got all we can from this. I would, at this point, I'm going to save that. Just make sure I press the yes, it does match, and let's go through the process of adding it to the tree. So, okay, anything that's different won't be showing, and then I can add it to Matilda's tree as well. So anyone else it finds that matches, you can save it to their tree. And there we go. And if I scroll down just to confirm it, yes, now it shows. And if I click on it in her profile, you can see it's been added there. So we're continuing. Now, check out the next one in the series, and I'll see you there.